Two girls stood at my doorstep that night, shivering, scared, and holding a single broken suitcase. And when they said, "We were only going to stay one night," I never imagined those words would change my entire life. I had just returned from a late shift, exhausted, half ready to collapse onto my couch when I saw them, Isa and Nord, twin sisters from the neighborhood, barely in their early 20s, eyes swollen from crying. The porch light flickered above us, making their shadows tremble, and before I could ask anything, Isa whispered, "Please, can we stay here tonight? Just one night." I looked at both of them, confused and speechless. "Two girls, at my door, at midnight," I replied, the only thing that popped into my stunned mind. "Both of you, at once?" They nodded with a kind of desperation that made the question suddenly feel stupid. That night was supposed to be simple. One night. Just a favor. Just kindness, but it became the beginning of a story none of us expected. They entered quietly, sitting at the edge of my sofa like they were afraid to breathe. Nor held the broken suitcase like it carried the last pieces of her life. She wasn't wrong. Before I asked anything, Isa blurted out, "We left home, we had no choice." I offered water, something warm to eat, but mostly, I offered silence, because sometimes silence is safer than questions. I noticed how Nor's fingers trembled when she reached for the cup, how Isa kept glancing at the front door like she was expecting someone to break in. Their fear felt real, too real. When they finally spoke, the truth came out in scattered but sharp pieces. Their father, drunk, aggressive, unpredictable, had crossed the line for the last time. That night, in the middle of his rage, he told them to get out and never return. They did. With nothing. No plan. No money. No place. They looked at me like I was their last option. Maybe I was. I gave them blankets, food, safety, just for one night, I told myself. But when I turned off the lights and lay in my room, I could hear their muffled crying from the living room. Two strangers, two sisters, breaking quietly in a dark space that wasn't home. My chest tightened. One night wasn't going to fix anything. Morning came with the smell of tea and the awkwardness of reality. They sat at my table, whispering apologies, saying they would leave as soon as they found a place. "We don't want to cause trouble," Nor said, eyes lowered, but trouble wasn't the right word. They were hurting. Lost. And surrounded by a world that doesn't always give second chances, especially to girls running from a broken home. I offered breakfast. They offered guilty smiles. And somewhere in the middle, something softened between us. Trust. Maybe when noon came, Isa stood up. "We said one night. We should go." But their suitcase was still broken. Their future still unknown. Their hearts still shaking. I took a deep breath. "Stay, a little longer. At least until you find somewhere safe." Their eyes widened, hope, disbelief, relief all at once, and that was the moment everything truly began. Chapter 1. The next few days felt both heavy and strangely peaceful. They helped around the house, trying to repay kindness with chores and quiet gratitude. Nor cooked simple meals but filled with warmth I didn't realize I missed. Isa cleaned, organized, and made the apartment feel strangely alive again, but beneath their smiles, something darker lived. On the third night, I found Isa crying alone on the balcony. She wiped her face quickly, pretending she was fine. Reality didn't agree. "He didn't just kick us out," she whispered. "He always told us we wouldn't survive without him. That no one would care enough to help us." I leaned against the balcony railing beside her. "You're surviving right now, without him. That alone proves he was wrong." She looked at me with an expression I'll never forget, like no one had ever said that to her before. Sometimes, kindness doesn't fix people, it simply reminds them that they're allowed to be whole. Meanwhile, Nor struggled with nightmares. I would find her awake, staring at the ceiling, clutching the blanket like she feared being dragged away. She wasn't loud about her pain. She carried it quietly, like a stone pressed against her heart. Both sisters were different, but their wounds came from the same battle. What started as one night was turning into pieces of healing none of us expected. The turning point came a week later. One evening, their father showed up outside my building, angry, yelling, demanding they return. The sisters froze when they heard his voice echo from the street. Nor's hands trembled again. Isa stepped in front of her like a shield. I walked outside, heart pounding but firm. "They're safe here. They're not going back." He shouted, cursed, threatened, doing everything to make them feel small again, But they didn't run this time, they didn't bow their heads, they stood behind me, both of them, afraid but refusing to move. For the first time, the man realized he no longer controlled them. Eventually, neighbors gathered. His shouting became meaningless. His authority dissolved. And when he finally left, furious but powerless, Isaac collapsed into tears, not of fear, but of release. That night, nor whispered, "No one has ever stood up for us like that." I replied softly, "No one should ever make you fight alone." Day by day, the sisters rebuilt themselves. They found part-time jobs, learned confidence, saved money, created plans. Their laughter returned, slowly at first, then brighter, like sunlight finally entering a room that had been locked for years. Months passed, and one morning, they told me they found a small apartment to rent. The air felt heavy, like a goodbye no one wanted to say, nor hugged me first, quietly. "Thank you for giving us more than a night." Isa hugged me next, stronger. "You didn't save us, you helped us save ourselves." And when they walked away, carrying a new suitcase, not broken this time, I realized something powerful. One night of kindness can change a life, but consistent kindness can rebuild one entirely. Their story taught me that sometimes people don't need rescue, they just need someone who believes they deserve a future, and I was honored to be that someone.